Package Your Genius Academy's fall enrollment season is coming to a close. If you are interested in learning how to clarify the gift that you have to offer the world, or at least the current stage of that gift, clarify what it is and how to message that gift and communicate what you have to share and offer to other people, you'll want to learn more about Package Your Genius Academy. In this 12-week academy, we talk about how you can get clear on your brand. Then we move to packaging your brand for the web before we finish up with pitching your brand to the media, to speaking engagements, and to your new clients. So if you are ready to activate your personal brand and learn how to monetize it in today's digital age, apply to join us in Package Your Genius Academy. Welcome to Package Your Genius. I'm your host, Amanda Miller Littlejohn. I'm a former print journalist turned PR and personal branding pro, and I am here to help high achievers like you bring your genius ideas to life. Whatever gift you have to give the world, I want to be a catalyst for your next genius move. If you're ready to stop overthinking it and start putting yourself out there, you're in the right place. Let's go. I want to share another principle from farming and nature because I guess I'm on a farming and nature kick since it is the fall harvest season. But over the summer, I visited my grandmother, as I have mentioned here before, and we had a really great time in southeastern Georgia, and she was telling me tons of stories about the family, and I was telling her about my son's funny experiment with trying to grow an apple tree. Long story short, my son, unbeknownst to me, planted an apple seed after eating an apple in our backyard. And what grew where he planted the seed was a very large weed that he continued to water because he thought it was his apple tree. And so as this weed grew and I asked him why he wasn't picking it, he revealed to me that this is the apple tree I planted. And I had to let him know I don't think that's an apple tree because that actually looks like a weed, very much like the other weeds that are scattered across the yard. I thought it was funny. I thought it was kind of hilarious that he had been watering the seed and this big healthy weed was growing and he was nurturing this weed. And my other son, his brother, and I just got a kick out of that. And when we told the story to my grandmother, she got quiet and she said, well, you know, apple trees don't simply sprout up, like an herb would. You don't plant a seed and then see the seedling or the sprout of the plant in the next few days. She said sometimes apple trees will spend years, or apple tree seeds will spend years underground before they grow into a plant. So just because that seed has not sprouted yet doesn't mean that it won't. And that's a message in and of itself. But I did a little digging on apple trees and how they grow, and I learned about two new very important principles that I thought you should know about: stratification and scarification of seeds. So I want to read a little bit about stratification and scarification so you can understand the metaphor that I think is really apropos to you and to all of us at this time of year. Not all plant seeds are ready to sprout as soon as you put them in the soil. Some hard-shelled seeds need a bit more coaxing, and some need a temperature change to trigger the end of dormancy. I have to read that again. Not all plant seeds are ready to sprout as soon as you put them in the soil. Some hard-shelled seeds need a bit more coaxing, and some need a temperature change to trigger the end of dormancy. Let me know if that resonates at all for you. Do you need a temperature change? Have you been in the soil for a long time and you haven't sprouted? Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Scarification cracking the hard outer shell, and stratification, fooling seeds into thinking they've been through winter, are two simple techniques that will save you a lot of frustration when starting seeds. Stratification and scarification occur naturally when seeds stay outdoors through the cold winter. So again, my son planted this seed in the summer thinking, oh, a plant is going to come up. What he didn't know was that these particular seeds need to go through a cold winter in order to even go through the process of becoming plants. Some seeds have outer shells that are extremely hard and don't allow water through. This is one way a seed stays dormant in the fall and winter until growing conditions improve. Animals can also scarify seeds by eating the hard seeds and digesting them. This is how strawberries can make their way around your yard. Another way hard seeds can be cracked open is by leaving them outdoors throughout a cold winter. The constant freezing and thawing will be enough to get them to eventually crack. This process is generally referred to as stratification or cold stratification. Some seeds are not hardy enough for cold winter temperatures, but many perennial plants are started this way. So, initially, I wanted to bring to your attention that different types of seeds need different conditions in order to grow. And while you may approach one type of seed with a nurturing method that you've seen work for other plants, certain seeds need a different process, right? But furthermore, what I learned while researching the process of an apple seed becoming a full-fledged apple tree and bearing fruit, which in my research I found that not only does it take several years sometimes for the seed to crack open and the plant to grow, but then for an actual plant to turn into a tree that bears fruit, it could be a decade or more. And sometimes the fruit isn't even good. It just depends on what pollinated the tree, and it's really complicated apparently. So now I understand why apples are so expensive. But the idea is that if you are judging your own fruit and your progress by the fruit that someone else's process is bearing in their life, it may simply be because you are a different breed of seed. So you need a different type of nurturing. You might need scarification or stratification. You might need to go through a cold winter. You might need to be kind of broken out of your own dormancy. You might not be ready to burst into growth. You may have a hard shell. Some people are just ready. What they have is like on the tip of their hearts or the tip of their tongues, and they're ready to be used. Other people, they need more time. And even the people that you see that are ready to be used, you don't know what has been happening to get them to the place where they are in this moment. And so for you, even if you feel like you are late or behind or your moment hasn't come yet, number one, you may be a different breed of seed. And so you may need a different type of process to bring your gifts to the forefront, right? So that your gifts can actually grow and bear fruit. But number two, you don't know what your timeline is. This might be your dormant season, and this dormant season might be necessary for you to be cracked open. And so when you look at timelines and we start comparing ourselves to other people, it can be very dangerous because everyone matures and blossoms in their own timing. There are things happening in your life. There are things that happen during your childhood. There are things that are going to happen in the coming days, weeks, months, and even years that are meant to prepare you and create the ideal circumstances for whatever it is that is meant to come through you. And so just because your timeline doesn't mimic someone else's timeline doesn't mean you're not in progress. Just because I didn't see foolishly a sprouted apple tree plant, I assumed that nothing was happening underground. But there very likely could be things happening underground with Connor's apple tree seed. His seed might be going through or preparing to go through the scarification and stratification process, but winter hasn't even come yet. So we haven't even given it a chance to go through the full cycle that it needs to break open and become a plant. And so I had written off his plant until my grandmother shared her wisdom and let me know that we're looking for plants in the wrong places. We're looking on the wrong schedule. We are assuming that what is going to manifest with his apple tree or apple plant is the same thing that would manifest with the other types of seeds that we've planted, and that's just not the case. So I wanted to share that with you today because we are all so very different. Some people will discover what they're good at or what they want to do and also have the courage and the motivation to launch themselves early in life. Some people are, in the slow cooker. They're in the crock pot. They are getting seasoned and tender, and they need to cook a little longer before they'll be ready. And so don't get discouraged just because you're not ready in someone else's time. You're on your own timetable. I hope this bit of insight was helpful to you on your journey. If it was, please do me the biggest favor of all by rating and reviewing the podcast and sharing it with your circle, your friends, and people you know need to hear this message. I'll see you next time.